With the extra point, this is Erik McKinney, joined by Greg Katz. Greg, on Tuesday, USC running back Stephen Carr put his name into the transfer portal. A lot of running back movement. Marquise Stepp also left. He's at Nebraska now. Carr looks like he'll be out. Keontae Ingram in from Texas. Your thoughts on Carr making that decision and putting his name in the portal?
You know, I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. I like Stephen Carr. I think he's incredibly talented when he's healthy. And I think that, he seemed as though he was okay with what would happen. I mean, he was really very good in the spring. And, I started saying, well, maybe he has a shot. But when I took a step back and I think to myself, well, look, there's him, there's Favai, there's Keontae, there's, Kristen isn't even there yet. And my question was, did he really want to take a chance that he would be the odd man out? Not that I think he did anything wrong to be the odd man out. That's that's one of my problems. And when you say, like you mentioned, the idea that you lost the running back to Nebraska, and you say to yourself, you know what? They still have enough running backs, so don't get me wrong. And I think Keontae Ingram could be, with 2 years of eligibility left, the type of player that is going to be a difference maker. Do I think because he's from Texas that it's a major problem? No, I'm on record as saying, look, I don't care where you're from. If you can play, you can play. But that being said, there are ramifications of him leaving. Okay, the ramifications are that if he goes, if Carr goes to, let's say, Indiana. Okay, you've got DeLon McCullough, who's now returned from the Kansas City Chiefs to be associate head coach and running back coach. So there's a connection there. So he's going to be in good hands. So good for him. But I wonder what the perception is going to be from our local community of high school coaches. If you turn the tables a little bit, and I know I'm rambling, but I'm trying to make some points here. Sometimes coaches from outside our area are always concerned that if you come to Southern California, that when push comes to shove, a Southern California player is going to get the tie goes to the runner. Well, we're opposite now in some ways, because this coaching staff is basically a Texas coaching staff, especially when you look at running backs, head coach, offensive line coach. And you wonder if the perception comes out that if all things are considered, they're going to give the Texas coach, the Texas player, a potential. Now, it doesn't have to be true. It doesn't have to be true, but there is that perception. And we know in recruiting, when you're trying to eliminate schools where you want to go, this would be a thing to say, well, maybe if I go, they're going to give it to that Texas kid, or they're going to bring in a Texas kid. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it is already happened. It depends on how you want to handle it. So that's kind of my overview of it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a great example of what the transfer portal is going to do. And not that transferring is a new thing for college football, but the ease at which you can do that. The idea of, I'm going to stick around and I'm going to stick around and I'm going to stick around and see if I get my shot and hopefully kind of play my way to get that shot. I think Stephen Carr put in a ton of effort, and he did kind of everything that was asked of him. The injuries, the foot, the ankle, the hamstring, the back. I mean, you kind of go through it, and he got over it. He came back, he rehabbed it, and he put in everything that he had. But again, when push comes to shove, if you can go find a spot, and this makes it really easy to go find a nice landing spot for your senior year. Not that any big time college football program is going to say, hey, we have a wide open spot for you, just come in and have it and be our starter. But you can take a look around a lot easier and get those recruiting pitches once you're in the portal and kind of see where you can land. I think this becomes very common, what we're going to see. I do think, just purely from a USC 2021 football team perspective, this helps in a way. I don't think it helps that you're losing a talent like that. I think it helps find some answers talking about that loaded running back kind of log jam there. And it looked like Keontae Ingram had done a lot, and kind of a lot of that talk, kind of trying to read between the lines there, was he's probably going to be the starter. And then Vavai Malape, you know what you're getting from him. And he came on as the spring went along. I loved what we saw from Stephen Carr, but yeah, it definitely had that option where he could have ended up number 3 in a 2-man rotation. And so you totally understand his point of view of, let me go ahead and take a look around and see what's out there, and see if there's kind of a clearer path to playing time. I'm with you sort of on all the points. I would have loved to see Stephen Carr in a USC uniform, fully healthy, and going out there and trying to take that spot and be the lead back for USC. I think we saw this spring that he was capable of doing it. And yeah, this is a 5-star back from your, not from Los Angeles, but the Los Angeles area. And certainly Inland Empire is considered kind of USC's backyard when you talk about recruiting. And that's going to be something where when a guy comes up there, wants to play at USC, is at USC and doesn't fulfill that, that's a hurdle you have to clear a little bit when you're recruiting kind of the next guy. And certainly right now, when it comes to USC recruiting running backs, I think they have to find some answers. And it is one of those things where Keontae Ingram comes out, runs for 1,200 yards, scores 15, 16 touchdowns, or Vavai Malape does that, has that kind of season, I think you can overcome any sort of blip this causes. But you have to do that. And USC right now offensively it doesn't seem positioned to be able to do that. So again, you kind of understand it from all points. And I'm with you, a lot of mixed feelings on does this help you? Does this hurt you? Does it help Stephen Carr? Does it hurt Stephen Carr? I think there's a lot of different ways that it could play out, but certainly kind of wishing the best for Stephen Carr wherever he ends up and in this final season for him in terms of eligibility.
And let me add just a quick vignette to this. Stephen Carr is going to go to a place, Indiana, which really puts emphasis on running, power running attack. Okay. What is going to be the feelings if he actually goes there, carries the ball a number of times, piles up 1,000,000 yards, touchdowns? It's going to reflect upon, this is a guy that if we had been in a different offense, this is what he could have done for us. But the air raid, based on the last couple of years of basically poor to horrendous rushing, that this is the type of guy we recruited. There was never anything wrong with him. He was in the wrong system, okay, which wasn't his excuse me, wasn't his fault. But it does illustrate that if I'm a running back, I have to choose, no matter where you go, you got to pick a system. Now, he entered SC before the air raid, okay? And this is of no fault of his own, but I'm going to be a little melancholy if he goes out there and does a great job. I hope he does. But if he does, I'll just say what might have been or what could have been.
And it becomes one of those things, right? If Marquise Stepp is your right back wrong time at USC, and now Stephen Carr is your right back wrong time at USC, and you're rushing for under 100 yards a game, and you're rushing for fewer than 4 yards a carry, who is the right back at this right time for USC? And the USC coaches absolutely need to find that. If it's Keontae Ingram, great job going out and getting him and bringing him in and working him in this offense. But that is something to be determined. And Brandon Campbell's another guy who came in early and showed a lot of flashes. So if those are your guys, then good job going out and getting them. But at this point, that is still very much to be determined for that 2021 season.